Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. This is Kentucky Talks with Mark Burnett and Stephen Lake.
Yep.
We are live from the Messenger Studios in Brandenburg, Kentucky. And if you forgive me if I look off to my left, it's because Steve's sitting off to my left today.
All right, I got you.
We're moving around a little bit. We like this stuff. Kind of keep it all guessing.
I got you.
And so, hey, we wanted to start out today a little bit just
different.
We've got some stuff coming up this weekend, some weather coming in, and we around here we take our severe weather very seriously, and we just wanted to take a moment.
Since 1974, I think.
Yeah, definitely since April 3rd, 1974 is a date around here that whether you were born before then or not, or you lived here or not, you know about it, right? Because. Yep. In case you don't, that was the big tornado here in Brandenburg, and last year was the anniversary for it. So there's a lot of things that were going around and talking about it. But tomorrow we're going to have a pretty severe set of weather coming through, and so we're going to show you what the radar looks like right now, and we're going to just talk a little bit about. What we might expect for tomorrow. We're not meteorologists. We're not.
No, please don't put us in that category. No.
We are just a couple guys who are interested and thought, hey, we might want to put out a little bit of a reminder, guys. This is going to be, could be a lot of big wind tomorrow. So looking at this radar, you can see it right now. It's just now starting to swirl out over here on the plains over centered over northwest Kansas right now over here. And what you're going to see is this start to swirl in. And I'm going to bring up the model here in a moment. That's the latest. Well, it's not really the latest, but it's within the last few hours. And wanted to click that one. And so we're going to bring this up and just show you what we could expect for tomorrow. This is by no means absolute, but if we let this play through, you're going to see exactly what we're going to see happen here. And so if we look at this, kind of slow it down a little bit. And just take a look. You can see initially
it's coming from north to south, or is it coming from south to north?
It's got a turn to it, almost like a hurricane does.
Right.
And what it is it's trying to pull moisture up off the Gulf and pulling up into itself, right? And because there was a storm, those storms last week kind of swept some of the moisture off the Gulf, so it wasn't as hot. I guess there was a couple of storms actually that swept through down south.
Well, I don't know, but our weather's been beautiful.
Yeah, it has been the last couple of days. But down in Florida and stuff, they had tornadoes and stuff just a few days ago. And so
what's your prediction coming in, Mark?
For this storm? Yeah. So if you look at up here in the top, up here in the center of the screen, this will tell you what time frame, the date and the time that you can expect the weather to come in.
Ooh, that's early in the morning tomorrow, Mark.
That's right. So this is coming up on us at around
2 a.m.
3 a.m. So it actually approaches Meade County. Meade County is right here. I can
batten your hatches.
And you can see it's going to come and hit us.
A little red.
It's just a little bit.
Yellow.
Now you don't see a lot of rain. You see, it's like patches of rain. The thing to worry about is probably going to be the straight line winds that come in.
How slow is it moving?
Let's see. It's a good question. I don't have that data in front of me. So these are 1 hour apart, so it's not moving.
Oh, it's not moving fast. Yeah.
So once it's if you get rain over, it's going to be over you for a little bit.
So it could be a hard downpour versus the really gusty blow through.
Right. So what you have here is by 11 a.m. you can see there's another patch coming through, and then
some
this
red.
afternoon, then you start getting this more of a south to north. The southwest to northeast.
So if you have plans out for being outside tomorrow in the morning time frame up until about 1 p.m. in the afternoon, I don't think I would stick to those plans. I'd find something indoors.
I mean, because it's not just going to be rain. It's going to be wind. It's not going to be great. It's you can see down here this model is pulling it. You can see where the model's showing it pulling in moisture, and it just does it all day.
Well, it looks like
evening.
That heavy stuff will miss us.
Well, a lot of it will, but we're going to get like the very top edge. Let me zoom in on Meade County here.
Yeah, there you go.
So you can kind of see. Now go back to the beginning of the model. You can kind of get an idea.
Yeah, but that lower lying red where there looked like a lot of squirrels, that was below us as it comes through east to west, northeast to west.
So this is still
west
that,
to east.
This is still that curve where it's pulling up and around the pulling up and around and pulling it up into the north central United States. And then this is pulling all of a sudden you start getting moisture off the Gulf. It's pulling a lot of moisture.
Yeah.
Like the Gulf heats up during this time, during the heat of the day, and then it starts pulling this moisture right off that and pulling it right up into the into us.
If you're podcasting and you can't see this, I can just tell you that it's pretty orange and red coming through. So and it starts tonight at like 2 a.m. in the morning. Well, it's tomorrow at 2 a.m. in the morning or 1 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what happened to my time, my date and time up there. Let me set that real quick. Let me see if I can just refresh this. Strange. I lost that.
That's all right. What do you think about the session? They're almost, I think they're pretty much done in session now. We've just got a couple of days left to work anything. If it goes back to the governor, which a few bills have gone to the governor.
Yeah. I think I think we'll probably have the plan is to have Nancy and or Steve
Meredith,
Nancy Tate or Steve Meredith in studio or at least in zoomed in and give us an update in the next week or two. We are looking to try to get Brett Guthrie on, I think, over the next week or two as well to get an update of what's going on in Congress.
Definitely be better to have him on here. Let's see what happens tonight if we get through the resolution. So
that's important to us. I was talking to some folks. They said that while Mitch McConnell is not necessarily well liked as much as he used to be.
Right.
I'll just put it that way. One thing that he has always done for this region is he has been a super supporter of Fort Knox, and he was. He when it came through and he couldn't keep, and he saw that he wasn't going to be able to keep armor here and things like that. But but we got HRC, we got these the other commands there, USAREC is there, right, and lots of things going on, and lots of commands and things. So Fort Knox is still bustling with people. It kind of swells and ebbs and flows somewhat because you have trainings and things, and so during the summer it swells by a few thousand soldiers or something like that for the trainings. And then of course by wintertime, by the end of fall, it's pretty much back to just normal numbers. But
that Republican Massey voted against the measure to go forward from Kentucky.
Yeah, he wants everything. So I'm happy that he stands by his principles.
Sure.
Right. So I'm happy for that. But in reality, I think that you have to look at what you can get, because we're not talking about getting everything today. But it takes time. You can't if we just shut down everything that he might have on his list of things that are
important,
or the things that he thinks are not important, and you cut those things out of the budget. Well, now you create holes and vacuums and things, and you can create a lot of unrest.
Sure.
We're already going through a lot of unrest just with the fact that we're trying to, what DOJ is doing, and it's already, it's affecting it. I mean, kudos to President Trump. He came out and said straightforward that, hey, this is going to be
painful.
There's going to be some pain up front, but we're going to end up better off in the end. So give him 18 to 24 months to let this play out before we start judging it. There's almost nothing in that he's doing right now that can't be undone if we need to, right? Congress can come together and say, hey, that's fun. If we need to fund this, we can fund that. But at the same time, don't cry wolf.
Right.
Because that's what happens right now. Everybody gets a little afraid of what the pain's going to be. And we've lived through this pain many, many, many times. The problem I think we've been having over the last 30 years or so of my life is that is that we don't allow ourselves to feel pain. We're afraid of feeling pain, and again, too big to fail. Right? Remember that 2007, 2008, 2008, too big to fail. That should never come out of our mouths because you're never too big to fail, and so therefore you must
caution.
You must go with caution. You must step forward, and you cannot expect that the government's going to bail us out. Right? They're not going to bail my company out. They're not going to bail your company out.
Nope.
Right?
We're going to die on the vine. We'll die on the vine.
That's right. But I'm
going to go down swinging, man.
But that's the way. But that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be so that you can now learn from those things and make the next iteration better, or it makes room for another company to step up and fill the gap with better efficiencies and different solutions.
Right.
That's what it's about. That's what capitalism is about. And I think that we should embrace that. We should never allow our government to do that again.
Well, they're going to wait until the last minute to vote on this tonight in the Senate, right?
Yeah,
right before the government
they came in at like 1 o'clock or something today to start the process or something. But I mean. The last I heard, and I haven't been watching the news all day or anything, but the last I heard is Chuck Schumer had said, "Hey, we're going to do this."
Yep, he's going to fall in support. I think Trump tweeted out something like, "Thanks for supporting." Not shutting down the government. I think it was more sarcastic banter back and forth. But
maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. I mean, sure. I think that he'll gladly. Put a hand out to somebody who if they're going to support his ideas or whatever, he'll put his hand out, right, and say. So I don't know if it's really sarcasm. I mean, there's maybe a little tongue in cheek.
Some people will probably take it. Doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter what anybody says. Somebody's going to say they take it some other completely totally different way. So it's the way it is.
But at least they're going to, Chuck has communicated that he is going to go in support of it so they don't shut the government down, which has not made a lot of Dems happy in the House. But no, he's taking criticism for that.
Now AOC, yes, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is saying that she's now looking at running for the Senate to primary Schumer and things like that, and it's we've got to be able to have compromise. Yeah. So as a Republican, just full disclosure, I feel very good when I finally see that there are Democrats willing to compromise with Republicans, because I feel like Republicans end up compromising with Democrats a lot more. I mean, that's one of the things that we have disliked about Mitch McConnell's term. Right. In the Senate is because we think he's compromised almost too much, or too much. So those are things that that are out there going on right now. So I think that they're going to vote for the CR, the continuing resolution. We'll see. The thing is that we want the CR to go all the way to like September. Yeah. So that they can now work on the budget without having to deal with coming back for another CR every month. So, so the budget, the goal is to get a reconciled budget by the end of the year, so that we can now fund it. And they'll have, of course, President Trump wants his tax cuts to be codified, and he wants or at least extended. Yep. He wants money for the border wall, money for the border, military increases, and things like that. So, and those are the things that most people don't disagree with it, but there are some that do, and there's some that don't. Unfortunately, there's a lot out there that in the Congress that just don't want him to ever get his way. Yeah. At all.
I got it.
And so, and it is going to take 7 for the continuing resolution. There will have to be 7 Democrats that cross the line of vote with it, so that they can have cloture and bring the bill forward. So. Yeah.
So you're tracking House Bill 4. Senate gives approval to bill banning DEI initiatives. It was actually like a 32-6 vote in the Senate. It's going to go back to the House, and if it gets passed, it'll go to the Governor Beshear's desk, and that's the bill that it concurs with a title amendment change in the Senate, and it basically takes the DEI initiatives at public colleges and universities. It bans the diversity.
Them, yeah.
Yep. So,
I mean, I'm a proponent of diversity. Absolutely. But I'm not a proponent of DEI because that's a different. People say, "Well, aren't you for diversity?" I say, "Of course I'm for diversity, but I'm also for merit because I want everybody to feel like I want everybody to know that when they got a job, that they got it based on their ability.
Don't make me feel guilty because something didn't work out for you because you didn't work for it.
I mean, I'm not going to short it that 50 years ago there were employers who did not want to.
100%.
Yeah, but that's not today. And so there was a time for affirmative action. Yeah. There's a lot of people now saying, "Well, DEI is not affirmative action." I was like, "Well, but affirmative action is a DEI." But
doesn't DEI go into the realm of? Doesn't DEI cover the boys and girls sports and all that other stuff?
It does. So so there's a lot of things. So that's the thing I'm against is I'm not against diversity, but I'm definitely.
Well, we're a melting pot. America is
I'm
built
for
on that
merit.
foundation. Yeah.
I am for merit. I am for. I am totally against men of however they see themselves playing in women's sports. Right, I'm just totally against that. I mean, it's dangerous for women to be involved. Even in
Jenner is against it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of transgender people who are against it. We're not against transgender people. We're against we're just not comfortable, or we know it's too dangerous. And if one person gets hurt, and we've already had several get hurt, of young ladies getting hurt, and I hear people like. Like on The View, I think it was Whoopi Goldberg or somebody saying, "Well, these women are strong." And I said, "But the men that are playing in these sports are stronger by far because they're preparing the same as the women are, but they're preparing with men's bodies, and they are stronger and faster when they're. I mean, yes, could I beat some of those women? No, right? I'm stronger than they are overall." But they could beat me because they're well rehearsed and trained in their sport. Yeah. So so there's no way. I mean, I'm not talking about
don't
today.
Make people feel guilty. Don't make people feel guilty because of their convictions.
Yeah, I mean,
and on merit, because I'm with you. I think it's a great bill. We'll see what happens. Obviously recent last summer, and now it's before the Supreme Court when Donald Trump, or not Donald Trump. I'm so sorry. Our governor put out, it was about the conversion therapy, and I know that was a discussion too. It all plays out, I guess, with the concerns of how people are treated and all this other stuff, whether it's trans, gay, ethnical, it just spins. Did you see about the bill that, you mentioned Mitch McConnell a minute ago, but him and another senator from Nevada had proposed a bill that would protect law enforcement officers if they were died in the line of duty or something like that, that would make sure it protects those benefits for those surviving family members. Did you notice
I did not see that, but
it's an act. It's the Chief Herbert D. Prophet Act. It's actually named after Chief Herbert D. Prophet, a Korean War veteran and a law enforcement officer of 55 years who retired in 2009 out in Tompkinsville, Kentucky. And he was tragically shot and killed in his driveway by an individual he had arrested like a decade before. But then later, it became a challenge for his family members to continue to receive benefits once he was presumed, ineligible. So this act puts that in place. I thought that was kind of neat legislation.
Yeah, I think so.
But that's not just protecting the law enforcement officers and their families of Kentucky. It's all across the United States.
It's across the board.
So
that sounds that sounds like something we need to do.
Sure.
Because there's many times that it's like they've already lost a loved one.
Yeah.
Now
now you're taking their money too.
They'll take their money too, right? Yeah. So
it's not their fault.
Yeah, and
especially given that it was by a would-be person that was arrested for a criminal case, knowingly convicted. You know what I mean? And then comes up and shoots him dead. Well, obviously this person is not somebody we want walking around on the street, but hey, his family shouldn't suffer for that.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
There's a lot of controversy. I see it on social media every day about in Doge we trust. There's a lot of people have a lot of interesting thoughts to say. It's funny how you watch it. Are you keeping up with a lot of that stuff? You see it on there? What's your take on the Doge?
I have been. The last couple of days, I've not really been watching my my X feed or anything like that on it. But I do research it every few days. Right now, I think part of it, I've been really paying attention to the court cases and these judges' decisions and things.
Some have frozen some things in place and can't act until then.
And it is bringing up it's still bringing up the question of constitutionality because, they talk about the probationary employees, right? There's judges that say they have to bring them back on and all this, and it's like, how can that be? Probationary is a very specific thing, meaning you can be fired for anything at all just because I decide I don't want you within that. And I think they're probationary for like a year or so.
Yeah,
I think it's a very long.
It is. It's a very long service. It's a 12-month.
It's a 12-month something like that, right? So all of these people these thousands and thousands were hired as in their probationary period. And so across the board, they just fired them.
So it's interesting. I actually know some people that are in this situation.
Yeah, I have.
But they have been in civil service for decades, where they were brought on, but then they switched over to a job, and it put them back in a probationary status. But it doesn't secure your job from civil service that you've been a part of it for 10 years.
That is one thing that gets me is because the government. I think specifically the military looks at those things as contracts, like individual contracts. So I'm going to get a promotion from this job to become the boss. Well, that's a new contract that you're you're going to be in that job on a probationary period. Yeah. Technically, that happens in the real world, of the civilian sector as well, because it is you just don't see it ever really acted upon very often. And I agree, I agree that they need to probably take a closer look at some of these. And that's why President Trump has said, hey, let's pull out the scalpel, put away the hammer. Let's pull out the scalpel and see if we can't, see if we can't make the cuts more, with a little bit more wisdom. But I agreed with his initial reaction to, hey, let's just go ahead and pull everything back.
Sure.
And then we can rehire. And they've already done that. So now it's time to get the scalpel out and make sure that they're cutting the right things. Now, for a judge to come in and say, oh, you can't do that, I don't think.
That's where it gets it.
That's where it's going to be a constitutional issue because.
Yeah, but let's put it on the table. Let's learn what's right and what's wrong so that we can continue to move our country forward with all of these things that have been built up over time. Let's crush what we can crush and let's keep what is good.
I think I told you this analogy before, and I wish I had the graphic. I'm going to see if I can't find it real quick. But we use this analogy in Lean Six Sigma when we're teaching. Okay, when we're talking about leaning out a process or looking for the hidden factory. I don't know if you've ever heard that. Hidden factory is, for those out there listening, the hidden factory in your business is whenever you have things that occur that aren't obvious within the factory. Within the process that actually affects the process. Yeah. And so sometimes what happens a lot of times is you end up putting more inventory or more labor in place to overcome those obstacles instead of trying to work out the obstacles, because putting labor and money towards something is usually easier than removing the obstacle. But removing the obstacle makes you more efficient. And that's the problem. So that's what the government has. So what's happened is the government has just thrown people and money at these things for 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, right? 100 years. And it's in what Donald Trump and what President Trump and Elon Musk and others are talking about is, okay, so in Lean Six Sigma, the first thing you would do is you would pull the resources back. So if you have too much inventory, you remove the inventory, find out what happens. Where's the process sticking, right? Same thing here. when you pull all those people out of place, now you find out what you're really missing. Sure. And so that's where they're at. And that's all they're really doing. They're not trying to just be mean to people and fire people. They're trying to find out what really needs to be fixed and then go find ways to fix that. Does it take a person, or can I do? Can we use some sort of system, PC or some application or something to do some of this work for us? But we had to go find out where those areas are, and the only way to do that is to remove and find out where things get stuck. So yes, it's going to be a little, and that's why it's going to be painful at first. The pain up front is so that we can now figure out what hurts and go figure out how to fix it.
Yeah. Cards and cats.
Yeah.
Basketball.
So the Cards reached the semifinals. Let's see, the quarterfinals tonight. Or is it? They're in the quarterfinals tonight, I think, because Duke is playing North Carolina and Louisville is playing. Do you have it there?
I do.
Who's Louisville playing?
Louisville.
Are they playing Wake Forest or no? Who are they playing? It's going to tell us here.
To do before the virus. We messed it up. Here we go.
We did. I mean, if you would have asked Cats first, I'd have had you.
All right, go with Cats first. Go with Cats first. Cats are going to struggle.
So last night, the Wildcats played. The Kentucky Wildcats played against Oklahoma University. They played them just about 2 weeks ago. Probably it'll be 2 weeks on Tuesday, I think, is when it was. And so it was like it was no, I guess it was two. It was just 2 weeks ago tomorrow, probably. But it was very, very recent. And so Kentucky went into Norman. I believe this was on their site. And we played. I can't remember if that was on their site or if it was on our site. But anyway, we played them just a couple weeks ago. And what happened was we didn't have Lamont Butler as the point guard. And in the end of the game, basically the last 18 points were scored for Kentucky by Otega Owe. Well, a very similar situation happened last night. So here now they're playing in the SEC tournament. This is the second round. So Kentucky had a first round bye. This game was supposed to start at 9 o'clock last night. And it didn't get started until after 10, and it didn't finish until almost 1 o'clock. Well, so it was a long day, long night. And so, but what happened was Kentucky was actually up 12 points with about around 4 minutes to play. And then all of a sudden we could not get the ball inbounds. We couldn't move the ball. And by the time we got, wore down. I mean, there was turnovers. There were we weren't playing defense. By the time Kentucky got to down to like the 5, I think there was like they were up 1 with about 30 seconds left. They gave the ball up again, and then there was a lot of controversy. There were no fouls being called at all in that last minute or two.
Well, they play tonight against Alabama at 9:30, and so does Louisville tonight. They play Clemson. So tonight's game.
Oh, it's Clemson tonight. Okay, good.
They play a lot of.
I think they played Wake Forest the first game.
So interesting thing though is it changes the seed lineup for Louisville going into the March Madness because they have a few extra games. There's some interesting discussion about how that lines up because they don't want to see them play a team that they might have already beaten in a tournament that they're in, and then show up in the, back in action again when they've already beat a team in the Sweet 16,
Yeah, so they're going to end up eventually you end up. So the NCAA tournament tries to set up they try to set it up so that you don't play a divisional rival, a person from a team from your division,
right,
or conference in the first 2 rounds. They try to set those up. Now these teams, these conferences are starting to get super big, so it's going to be harder and harder to do that.
Right, because you got more teams playing in the conferences and stuff. Yeah.
So what happens is that you're probably going to end up playing someone, but they're trying to avoid that. But the ACC was kind of down this year. I mean, one of the big things that happened this week was Duke lost their, they lost Cooper Flagg for at least the one game, and they're thinking he might be out tonight. And they play North Carolina tonight, so that's going to be an interesting matchup. If he can't go, that changes the dynamic of the team. They're still a really good team, but it does change the dynamic because he is all over the place. He is like the ACC defensive player of the year. He's the ACC freshman of the year. Or no, he was a runner-up, I think, in defensive player of the year because they didn't. But the thing is that he's rated number one in the country in defense. So it's really strange. It's like they just decided not to give him all the awards because he got player of the year, freshman of the year, and like second place defensive player. But anyway, if he can't go, then that affects Duke pretty succinctly. And Louisville, I think we'll have a little bit of a tough time tonight against. I think they'll have a little bit of a tough time against Clemson, but not too bad. Clemson they play pretty good ball. And so Louisville will have to be on their game tonight to win that game. I think Louisville wins, and then if Duke gets past North Carolina and doesn't have Cooper Flagg, I think Louisville wins the ACC. If they have Cooper Flagg and he's anywhere close to 100%, I think Duke will end up winning the ACC. Now over in the SEC where Kentucky is. Auburn has just played great basketball all year long, and they put a whipping on Kentucky just a couple weeks ago, and we really again we had point guard problems and things like that, but this is one of the things. Mark Pope has done an excellent job for Kentucky, bringing them into rebuilding them. He had 0 players when he came in last year, and he built a team that we thought, hey, if we can at least, stay above 500 and see it building and see the recruiting and things, but they came out and played hard. He does a great job recruiting, especially in the portal, and he has, and it's really showed this year his ability to coach people, coach kids, and these are men because they're all he recruited a lot of juniors and seniors, and so he's able to you see his ability to coach, and he cares about people. I don't know if you ever watch any of his interviews or thing like that. He really cares about people, and he's one of the most liked coaches in the NCAA. He's one of these guys that will, give you his shirt off his back. He stays around in arenas most time. Last night there were so many Wildcat fans left there because they won on a last second. They were down one, 84-83, and Otega Owe got the ball with 5.6 inbounded from had to go 92 feet, inbounds goes to his right and then shoots offhand, shoots his left-handed. And a little floater from the wing, not from out front, but from the side, and swish. 0.5 seconds left on the clock.
You got to go watch that on the highlight reels.
I did. It was good.
I got one more topic I want to hit before we close it out today. Sure. It's on the House and I want to close out with legislation because they're coming to an end. But they actually had a bill providing some medical exceptions to the abortion ban that's in Kentucky. Did you see that?
I did. I have not been in the news the last 2 days.
So it basically there's a need to clarify the distinction between an elective abortion and illegal termination of the life of an unborn child.
Oh, this is where they were talking about if you have
like a medical,
if there's a medical, or if you have a
life,
what they call a spontaneous abortion, which is a miscarriage.
Yeah, life-saving miscarriage management, including medical procedures necessary to address spontaneous abortion.
But a lot of that was
you want to protect the doctors that are having to deal with this, so they know that it's okay.
Yeah, I think that people. I think there was a knee-jerk reaction on this a little bit. I don't think anybody was looking to go arrest the doctor for performing a DNC on a woman who just had a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So at the end of the day, this bill would also note perinatal palliative care programs provide essential support and resources to pregnant women and families facing complex and life-limiting parental diagnosis, ensuring compassionate care, informed decision-making, yada, yada. Bottom line is it passed the House. So it's going to go to the Senate. And I'm honestly, I'm a little, encouraged by hearing this because of all the other reasons I've heard people that are not necessarily, I don't want to go kill a child, especially in the late term. I don't think we've ran into many Kentuckians that are this way, but I definitely think that it gives some clear balance when these medical situations arise, that it's a clear, definitive line.
When something is... we always want to try to save the child, save the mother. Always.
Yep.
But they need to be able to do things when there's an emergency and the mother's life is, the mother's, clinging to life. A lot of times, though, they always want to do, they seem to always want to do an abortion. And an abortion is harder on than doing a C-section.
Yeah, no, I believe they made it very clear that the difference between illegal termination and life saving.
They should try to birth the baby, and the baby is not viable to stay alive on its own outside the womb or through incubator or whatever. Understand. Yep. I understand, but they should always give the baby the chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because they used to think that babies couldn't survive outside the womb at 30 weeks.
We know
and we know that there's babies that are born at 22 weeks and 23 weeks,
now.
Right? That are that have survived
amazing
and thrived and are just perfect in every way. But that's. So, we need to clarify. Yeah. I'm all for clarity.
Yeah.
So, thanks.
Sounds like they've had a lot on their plate, though.
They have. They have had a lot on their plate. But and we'll get that update from Nancy and Steve here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Well, another show.
I
think
episode 4.
Episode 4 is in the books. We're going to put that out there, and guys, go out there and like and subscribe to our channel. I know it's a new channel.
Spotify, Amazon, Apple.
Yep, and so if you go over to YouTube and X.
Or the Messenger.
Or the Messenger, and you can then like and share with your friends. It helps us out and give us feedback at the same time. Tell us what you'd like to see on the show.
Absolutely.
All right, Steve, you have a good weekend. We'll see you on Sunday.
Man, I will see you on Sunday.
Yeah, at least this Sunday.